Well, welcome back to another episode of the Microgreen Thumbcast with your two hosts, myself, Mike, and Andy, and also Jess in the background doing all the fancy production stuff and handling all that for us. Um, Last week we talked about myths. The last 2 weeks we did actually talked about myths that are common in the microgreen industry. If you guys want to watch that, obviously you can go back and watch that. We can probably post some links in the comments and stuff, but you can go back and watch them if you missed them. Andy, was there any myths that you thought of over the last couple of weeks that we might have missed? Or do you think we
Oh
get them all?
man, that's a good question. I think we covered almost all of the
Big
ones, the
ones.
major ones anyway. Because even after we kind of went through the ones we had on the list, we came up with a few extras
Yeah.
to cover really quickly. But yeah, it's definitely there's a lot of good and bad information out there. So
Yeah.
nowhere to look for the good information. The farms that have been
Yes,
doing this a while and actually have commercial operations. It's a whole lot better to start there.
for sure. For sure. Not that some other people can have some good ideas and everything else. Just be cautious where
Yeah.
you're getting it from, for sure.
Yep.
But we started, both of us, in our homes and grew into commercial facilities. So just the way anybody else would start, that's what we did. So we can definitely help you guys and everything else. So we know the pitfalls of the home. We know the pitfalls and the challenges of growing in a warehouse as well. So and a storefront, Andy did. So
Yeah.
craziness, But
I
yeah,
know. Why not complicate it further?
for sure. Awesome. So how was your last couple of weeks, Andy? Anything new going on, or?
No, it was pretty good. I mean, we got a couple extra restaurants that we're starting to board up, some new places in Ocean City, which makes our trip down there a little bit nicer, to make it worth the trip. I mean, it's about 2.5 hours to get there, but it's kind of a part of our huge route that we do anyway. It's just about an hour out of the way, unfortunately. But yeah, it's worth driving down there. We've got plenty of money coming in from that city, which is great. And other than that, it's just been like food bank stuff, hiring new people. My dishwasher's last day was yesterday, so now
Oh,
I gotta. I'm hoping my new person that I just hired like 3 or 4 weeks ago may actually take over that as part of their existing job because they're looking for more hours. That'd be an easy way to get them, that's for
yes.
sure. And
Was that the good
for
one?
us, it's a make your own schedule kind of thing. I mean, you get a key,
Oh,
you just come and go when you want, and clean the dishes when you want, and as long as you come in 1 or 2 times a week, you're in good shape. It's pretty much the only requirement just to get everything taken care of before we plant again, on one of the bigger days. So keeps things simple, but we
we
have plenty
we
of trays, thank God.
so we do need trays cleaned at some point to be able to do so.
Yeah. But as you know, it's like it takes a long time to go through all of the trays you actually own. So that's also a nice plus.
Yes, for sure.
So we're fortunate enough to be in that spot, but yeah, it's been good. Then today I
Yeah.
was like, I mean, I was telling you before we started, it's just been a crazy exercise day.
Yeah.
Walked I hiked 5 or 6 miles this morning, and then went to the gym and came home and ate, and pretty much this. Spent my whole day just about.
Working
But
out and
been good.
podcast.
Yeah,
So
that's it, man. But got
nice.
18,000 steps today, so which is great.
That's a lot of steps. Good job.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thanks.
All right. Well, let's get into today's episode fully. Today, over the next like 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to talk about your full-time income target and defining it. I think a lot of people get in this business and don't even think about what the long term is. What's your full-time income target? Where do you want to be? What's your goals? They just want to start growing and everything else. But if you're going to start a business, you need to have the end in mind, right? You always want to work even the big picture. Like if I'd sell it down the road, what would that look like? So you can work everything backwards. We just worked it from being like a full time, what it would look like being in a warehouse and all that stuff, and work back from there. When we did it, that's what we did. And then you got to picture it, right? You got to like visualize it in your head. You got to have that visualization. So like you picture like what it would look like sitting at your breakfast table with your family in the morning, relaxing, having breakfast, and not having to worry about like I got to rush off and go clock in at work wherever it's at, or the stress of the job. You're not worried about hours. You're worried about trays. How many trays are we planting today? Not how many hours I got to work today or anything like that. Such a better environment and better on your mental health to have that versus having to go clock in. I got to be there for 9 hours. Got to rush and get the kids. You can move stuff around, right? You don't have to plant at 3 o'clock. You can plant at 6 o'clock. You can plant at 9 a.m. You can do it whenever you want because it's yours. You can do it as long as you get it done that day. Obviously, probably if you're planting, you got to have it at a certain time, but you can move stuff around. So you can go to kids' events. You can go with family and everything else. That's what we seen as the vision when we started, Andy. What was your vision when you started?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is my vision originally was I'm just gonna do this as a side gig for a
Yeah.
couple hundred extra bucks a week and not even really worry about it. It was it just blew up after that. So, that was the complicated thing, was literally keeping up with something that we didn't even think about possibly happening. I mean, I'd had other, like, small businesses in the past, and they were all IT related, website related, things like that, because that's what I had done my entire life.
Yeah.
So, of all the things to be able to walk away from my full-time job to do, this was never the thing I thought it was gonna be. I thought I was just, like, gonna make some extra money and, do things on the weekend, and that was pretty much gonna be it. And, a year and a half in or so, I guess about a year and maybe 7, 8 months in, walked away from my job and
Yeah.
never looked back. So, it's insane.
Such a great feeling.
Yeah. You give up your 40-hour-a-week job to work 80 hours a week.
Yeah. It's still a great feeling, right?
Well, it is. I mean, that's
yeah.
like I tell people all the time, I'm like, I'm so much happier, honestly, like legitimately happier, being my own boss and doing my own thing and, knowing that my success relies on me and my team that I hire, because you got to hire good people. If you don't hire good people, it just ends badly. So you really got to pay attention to every little detail. And,
Yeah.
if you enjoy challenge, this is a fantastic business to be in. If you enjoy experimentation, if you enjoy, science to a certain extent, organization, things like that. If you're like an ADHD person or, or I guess OCD person, you'll love microgreens
Yeah.
to a certain extent, so there's all kinds of things that kind of like can fall into that world really easily.
Yeah.
But yeah, it grew way faster than we thought. Way, way,
Yeah.
way faster. I never in a million years thought we'd be where we are,
Yeah.
not even 5 years in. I mean, we're 5 years in now, but we
Yeah.
already got there last year.
Yeah.
We were 4 years in, which is crazy. So that was our second commercial space.
Yeah.
Nuts.
It does happen faster than what you even can imagine.
Yeah.
For us, it definitely happened faster. I mean, we were full time, both of us, 6 months in, as we've said it
Yeah, that's
before.
awesome.
So that definitely wasn't the vision when we started, but we still had a vision that we wanted to go full time in this. So it definitely went a lot faster than what we expected. But I do think that probably helped with our background, being in restaurants and ops and running things
Yeah.
and being able to organize time frames of stuff coming and out and cooking things, rather than Microgreens a little bit longer, but same kind of concept of the planning and everything else, and being able to plan out expenses and plan all that stuff out and everything else. So what we want to do from our backgrounds and experiences to help you guys plan out your expenses ahead of time and have that vision. So that's what we're going to get into today. So if you want, you can share as you go along as we ask these questions and everything else, or tell you what we did. You can put it in too. Like, we're going to get in to hear in a little bit about your expenses and household expenses. If you want to share that information, or if you're in either one of our groups, you can share that information too, because we definitely want to help you guys out to get there even faster than a year and a half, year, 6 months. Because we want more and more growers. We don't want less growers. We can't dominate the whole country. We want more growers. So we want you guys to do it right and faster. Right, Andy?
Yeah, 100%. And that's why we do this. I mean, because ultimately we're all helping each other out. We're all helping each other, educate the world literally about what microgreens are, the health benefits of them. So the more growers that are out there, the easier it's going to be for you to make that sale at the farmer's market instead of having to convince somebody to take something they've never heard of before. The goal is for them to be able to walk up to you and oh, wow, microgreens. That's cool. I didn't know these were even sold here. So that's when you get to that point and people already know what they are, it makes your life so much easier. Because believe me, we started in the total opposite where nobody had any clue what we were selling. So that was a tough uphill battle for sure. But yeah, it's definitely a nice plus to have more growers, without a doubt.
Yes,
but you got to do it the right way, please.
Please don't ruin the industry. Don't make it regulated, over-regulated. Some regulation is not bad, but over-regulation, we don't want to be the Sprouts, where
exactly.
they're very over-regulated. So, all right. So let's get into this. It's kind of a live exercise. You can do this on the side while you're doing it, or rewatch it, whatever, as you go along. But first thing I think you got to do when you're starting a business is you got to know what your goals are of getting there to be able to go full time. So you need to know first, what are your household expenses? And I find this is a hard question for some people. I mean, you see the Rocket Mortgage commercials all the time. How many subscriptions do you have? I have 2. Well, you have 12. people just don't know what they're spending. So if you don't know what your expenses are for your household to take care of, you're not going to know what you need to make in this business, right? So first thing you need to do is get all your household expenses down, listed, and everything else, so you know what you are. I'm sure, Andy, that you knew what your household expenses were, so you could go full time at this, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, and you really want to go like worst case scenario on certain
Yeah.
things that are going to be
Yeah.
adjusted throughout the year, like your electric bill, your
Yep.
how much you're spending on groceries, gas, things of that nature. I mean, whatever your highest month was, assume that month is always going to be it forever, and then if you get a higher month at some point in your future, then you change it to that's your new low end for your budget side. So yeah, I mean, you have to have that information for sure.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
you have to know what to cancel out.
Yes.
Ultimately.
And there's things you need to cancel out. You're gonna be running a business. You may not need Netflix and the 5 different subscriptions for watching stuff, because not time to watch stuff. You're trying to build a business. So
Yep.
cut some of that stuff out. Always good to have some entertainment and get away from things, for sure. But you don't need all of it. I mean, we don't have cable TV. We do have Netflix now, but we didn't have a lot of that stuff. We had the free Peacock that came with our Comcast that we watched and stuff. We just went down to the bare minimum. It already came with our internet with the Peacock, so that's what we had as our TV. Whatever was on there, we could watch. Didn't get to watch some of the sports stuff that I wanted to watch. Sometimes I had to watch recaps of them. But that's some sacrifices you're going to make along the way at running a business. It's not going to be work your 9 to 5, come home, sit on the couch and watch things, which people probably mean to do less of that anyway. So, but that's a whole different subject.
Yeah.
Go for a walk.
Please.
And then step 2, after you got your household expenses listed and everything else, this one might take you a little bit longer. You might need to be 6 months in, 3 months in, something to figure out what your business expenses are. So you're going to have if you have any rent. And by the way, if you list this as a business, as an LLC or sole proprietor, whatever, you want to pay yourself rent from your business for the space that you're using in your house, because you can write that stuff off on your business, right? So whatever square footage you're using in your house, you should be paying yourself that rent back from your business. But that's just not tax advice of any kind, but you can do that. So you could write off the rent, any utilities extra that you're spending from the business, So if your power bill's $300 normally, and it goes to $500 after you've been running the business for 3 or 4 months, now that expense for the power bill is $200 is for the business, right?
Yep.
So now you can add that in. Any seeds, soil that you've been buying, software, any farm, if you're getting farm flow and you're paying for that monthly, that's an expense you're going to need to add in there. Stuff like that. So just keep track of everything you're spending and do it for like 3 to 6 months. And then you're going to know like an overall average budget. Andy, I'm sure you've done that, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, and we were in the same boat when we first started. We cut a lot of things out on purpose. I mean, we had like DirecTV for 20 something years. I'm like, nope, don't need that anymore. So we chopped that one. It was one of the first ones to go, and got it down to, we were already doing Amazon Prime anyway for just to save on shipping. So we just went with that.
Yeah.
And kept that one. But you can, if you got a smart TV, you can just watch YouTube. I mean, YouTube's completely free. It's not like you have to have any kind of paid service. So yeah, we definitely made sure we cut back a lot of expenses when we first got started, just to, help basically, paid off any cars that we could ahead of time so we could get rid of those monthly payments. And, but you still have to budget that kind of stuff in, because eventually you're going to have to replace that car.
Yeah.
So it's just, one of those things you're going to eventually have to worry about. And also the maintenance on the vehicles, things like that.
Yep.
But, like Mike said, I mean, again, this isn't tax advice, but with having the business, especially in your house, you can write off a lot of things. This is something to think about. Talk to an accountant about it, but you got like mileage and clothes and food. I mean, anytime you eat out, like my wife and I always joke, we sit down, we go, oh, so Fresh Source Farms, huh? And then we talk about it for like, that's it. And then that's a write-offable meal.
Yep.
So it's just one of those things that you can really take advantage of with that. And it helps just ease your tax, time at the end of the year.
Yes.
Because oftentimes you're going to get a lot of money back now because you've got all these additional expenses that you didn't have before. Because, the IRS doesn't care if you're a person and you have a lot of expenses. They only care, it seems like, if you have a business and you have a lot of expenses.
Yes.
But definitely makes things fun. But yeah, you have to have all that stuff figured out, man, for sure. And keep it tight as you can. So when you first start.
For sure. Yeah, as a person filing taxes, You don't get to write off any expenses to begin with. You have to do income first, Business, you get to write all your expenses off, and then your income is the bottom line. So it's just reversed of what you can do. So if you can play the game correctly, a good tax accountant is worth their weight in gold. So get a good one. If you get a bad one, they can cost you money. So just find a good one, get some resources, got some people around, and find other business owners and everything else. They're usually pretty open to share what they're using, who they're using. So definitely do that. You can help that out by having good bookkeeping work on your own, like having a program like QuickBooks or something like that, and keeping good records ahead of time will help them a lot. They'll like you more.
Yeah. Well, and the big cool thing with QuickBooks Online too is like you can basically automate a lot of it. So anytime we make a purchase from Bootstrap Farmer, from Mums, from Greener Harvest, whatever, it automatically flags that stuff correctly. So we don't even have to actually file that transaction. It happens automatically. So it takes a little while to set that up, but at the end of the year, I mean, you're maybe having to set up like 20 or 30 total transactions for the entire year because almost all of it is already automated, which is fantastic. That's one big plus of using those guys, for sure. So it definitely helps save a ton of time. Because the first year I did it, it took me days to get all that stuff filed and figured out, but once I got it all set up, man, it was like clockwork. It's awesome. Yeah. And you can get your accountant to actually be able to get into QuickBooks as well. You can give them access, which is a huge plus too. But yeah, find an accountant that actually does businesses, not just personal stuff. Get one that's really good at doing business taxes. That's a huge plus. Most of them are, but you never know. There's some people that just specialize in personal tax stuff. So,
and you can write off whatever you pay them too. So,
exactly.
You don't get all the money back, but you get a lot of it back. So, So that's step 1, 2, and 3. Step 3, I forgot about, guys. You want to write in a buffer of 10% of whatever your expenses are for personal and business, because things come up, right? Things break, things happen, expenses, power bill goes up, your insurance goes up, something that you're not expecting. So it gives you time to have that buffer in there always in your budget. So 10% is always just a good. If you could do more, but 10% is adequate most of the time. Andy, do you do buffer in your budgeting?
Yeah, I mean, it's about the same. We do about 15% just to be safe. But I mean, ultimately, as long as you're staying well ahead of inflation, you should be okay. And 10% to 15%, even that's kind of overkill. But you definitely want to have something in there to make sure. Because I mean, for example, I mean, once you add more racks, obviously your electric bill is going to go up pretty quick. If you got to buy, and if you got more customers, your seed expenses are going to go up pretty quick. Your soil expenses are going to go up pretty quick. There's a lot of little things that can come into play really fast. So you have to keep an eye on it and constantly keep things like updated and changed. But what's cool is like oftentimes you just kind of think like, well, all right, it just went up $200 a month or something. How many customers do I need to cancel that out?
Exactly.
Think of it
how many trays do I need to grow?
Yep. And then that's your goal, is to get that number of customers to be able to cancel out that particular expense. So it works out fantastic. We kind of think of it from that mindset. If you're not like a really good budget person, or you don't feel like taking the time to do it, just kind of focus on that simplicity of it, to get enough customers to cancel out whatever it is going out the door per thing. So if your rent's like $1,000 a month somewhere or whatever, which would be fantastic, then just get enough customers going to more than cancel that out. So, it's an easier way to approach it if you don't want to go through the whole entire thing. But obviously a full budget's ideal in every scenario.
Yes. Please do a full budget. But yes, you can always think about that. Something new comes on. Like if you want to buy a piece of equipment, how many more customers do I need to get? Or, in Andy's case, how many grants do I need to write? But you think about it as in customers, how many more customers do I need to pay for that thing? Or when would that be paid off if I had that many customers and everything like that? So I always use that as a trade mindset.
And with that, ultimately, you can literally say, if I buy this machine, how long is it going to take before it pays for itself? And how much is it going to save me forever, going forward? So that's other ways you can approach it too. Yep,
for sure. All right. Let's talk about like 3 budget pitfalls that can come up. Targets are great. Yet there's money traps that can sink you, right? It can happen. That's life. That's the curveball life throws at you sometimes. And these are things that are going to happen regardless how well you plan. budget pitfalls are going to happen. Things are going to happen. Things might break. You might, whatever scenario can come up with, it's going to happen. So, your take home pay, like, example, you 7,000 in revenue, 3,000 off car costs, your margin exceeds 35%, so them things can happen. Your take home pay might fluctuate, move, the insurance might go up at work or whatever. And now you get less take home pay coming in. It's things you can't control that happen at your job. Might happen if you're working an hourly position. They might cut your hours. These are things that can ruin a perfect budget. You have a perfect budget set up. You have that 10% bump, and that curveball throws at you, and you swing and miss like most people do on curveballs. So you have to be prepared for that and have that mindset that that's going to happen. I'm sure there's been curveballs thrown at you throughout things, Andy, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the irony is sometimes it can be a new client
Yeah.
that curveballs you. I mean, when we added, I think it was in 2022, we added 12 grow racks to our system in a week because we got a distributor and it was a huge account.
Yep.
And I thought, oh, this is great. But then you don't think about the fact I've got to buy and stock 12 racks worth of trays, worth of seed, worth of soil, worth of lights, everything else that goes into that whole thing. So next thing you know, you're out like $10,000 just to start this customer. Yeah. By the time you buy all the trays and everything else, I mean, that was when I learned how to buy, a pallet of trays from Bootstrap Farmer, because I didn't even know that was a possibility until that actual moment. But then the ultimate curveball was, well, now you just spent all that money to be able to get this client started. And then, oh, by the way, now your dehumidifier is not strong enough.
Yep.
So guess what? Now you get to go buy a brand new dehumidifier that takes a month and a half to arrive.
This sounds so familiar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's like little things like that can kind of catch you off guard where you don't really think about it. And the next thing you know, you got a $800 or $900 dehumidifier you got to purchase that is just one extra thing that you didn't think about because But yeah, you're always going to have those little things that'll throw curveballs at you.
For sure.
So, yeah.
And the other thing is like seasonal dips. Like if you've not been through a whole year of business, what's your seasonal dips? People falling off, going on vacation. If you're doing a lot of home deliveries and people are going vacation for 2 weeks during July, June, August, whatever, you might have that big seasonal dip there. Wintertime, holidays, people may not want as much, through the holiday season. You have that dips there. Grocery stores go through flows too, if you're in grocery stores. So you have the seasonal dips. You have the monthly renewals. If you're doing home deliveries, you may not do that. Or you have annual renewals that you forgot about, and then they pop up on your bank account. And you're like, oh, I forgot that was going out. Okay. And then if you're not got that 10% buffer in there, that's going to hurt you, right? So that's why you have that buffer in there. I'm sure you've had seasonal dips and surprise annual renewals come in, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, and we kind of, thankfully, we've done it long enough now where we know, when that stuff's going to come. And oftentimes for us, it's the wintertime, because a lot of the restaurants will slow down a little bit. Grocery stores, ironically, slow down a little bit in the summertime because a lot of people are on vacation, so they're not grocery shopping locally as much. So we see that there. Like Ocean City is a perfect example. That's a tourist town. So during the wintertime, it's going to be super slow. Most of those orders will probably be canceled completely. We're expecting that to be the case. Food bank, for example, you guys are in the same boat. Food banks are very iffy because they can be fantastic, but they're also relying on government funding, and the government funding is all over the place right now. So it's really tough to figure out, like, how long are you going to get that account? How long are they going to stick around? It could be for a couple months, it could be for a couple weeks, it could be for a year, it could be for multiple years. So it's like those kinds of things can be a little insane when you don't really know when the actual end of it is. But luckily, like, as long as you plan ahead, as long as you got kind of stuff put together and figured out, I mean, the benefit is, especially when you're paying people. And I only say this because we're in a boat where when it's slow, my guys work less, obviously. So it kind of balances itself out to a certain extent, but it also doesn't cancel out the rent payment, the electric payment.
That's the same regardless.
Sewer and all. Yeah, I mean, that's it. So you still have to have enough coming in to cover all those expenses on top of the labor. But obviously, for the most part, the labor pays for itself because you're paying people a lot less than they're actually producing, obviously. So that's the goal. But so that doesn't affect us too much. But obviously, if we dip beneath a certain amount, then we have a problem, because then we can't even cover just the general business expenses outside of the actual labor. So that's where things can get a little hairy. But yeah, that's why you plan ahead, put that money aside that you're making during the hot time of the year. Then that way you got something left over to kind of get you through, if you need to, throughout the rest of the slower time.
Yep.
Because there definitely will be slower times for sure. And you'll have
For sure.
some chefs that'll be like, you know what? I'm getting $600 a week. Now I want to cut it all the way back to $50 a week. And you're like, crap.
What?
Yeah. So we just had a restaurant go from 8 pounds of basil down to 4 pounds of basil last week, which doesn't sound like much, but
it's a big cut.
Yeah, it's a couple $100 per week, so it sucks. That's over $1,000 a month that we just lost in one phone call. So you never know. But then the next time you'll get another guy. Oh yeah, I need an extra 4 pounds of whatever per week, and so it all kind of balances itself out, thankfully. But that's why you always have to constantly be pursuing new customers. Because you never know where you're going to lose, who you're going to lose. You never know where they're going to cut back, what they're going to cut back. That's why you always have to be in pursuit of new. Because if you just hang on to the people you've got and expect that to be your business. Guess what?
Yeah,
a year and a half, you're not going to have any customers.
Yeah, and we sitting here, where'd everybody go?
Yeah, exactly.
One thing to help with seasonal dips, annual renewals, people cutting off orders that you didn't expect to, is to have at least 1 month of expenses, of business expenses, in your bank account at all times.
Yeah.
Ideally, I think 3 months. I've heard 6 months. I think that's probably too much money tied up and not going to use. But 3 months would be like the ultimate, because you're going to be able to survive anything if that happens. Whatever happens, if God forsake, all the crops go bad in 1 week, or you had a flood and you got everything, you've got a month or two to recover from that and get back on your feet. So ideally 1 month at minimum. Ideally, I would want you to have 3 months. That's what we do, is have 3 months of expenses sitting there just in a savings account, business savings account. So if anything happens, we can draw from that, and then we can rebuild it when we get back on our feet. Luckily, we haven't had to do any of that, but times will happen. It's going to happen at some point, right? And you're going to have that happen. Something major is going to happen. Tornadoes are going to come through town. You don't know. So things are going to happen. What do you think about the having money back, Andy?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Because you're going to have, that yearly renewal that comes around, every once in a while. Like, you forget about your, insurance, your liability insurance or something. You're paying that yearly, and it's a couple $1,000s or whatever. And then all of a sudden that rolls in, and you're like, oh crap, I forgot about that. I've got $400 in the account, or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's why it's good to have that just in case. Or if you have an emergency purchase, like a larger dehumidifier, that all of a sudden came out of nowhere that you didn't think you were going to need, or all of a sudden your guys are like, hey, by the way, we have like 6 bags of soil left. And you're like, oh, cool. Let me just go spend $2,000 on 2 more pallets of soil. Or, so it's good to have like that just in case money. And obviously, you don't want to keep too much in there, because ultimately you want to pay yourself in some fashion, ideally. But also it's just, the benefit of having that extra, like if you have more than your minimum amount, is you have that available to purchase other things that can hopefully make your business better, make it work faster, expand out into more automation, more software, more whatever, things that can help you basically just make the business work more efficiently. Tools, little tiny things that you may not even think about, like a date stamper. They're like $10. For God's sakes, buy one. They're so cheap. You just stamp all your labels. It goes way faster that way than handwriting. I know so many people that still do that. Big farms that still do that. It's crazy. So
we use a date gun.
Yeah. And that works just as good too.
Yeah,
100%.
and they're cheap.
Yeah, they are really cheap, and the paper is super cheap. So, find some solution, like any little thing that you're like, man, this is really obnoxious to do over and over again, and just get the damn tool for it, whatever it happens to be. It's amazing, like what little things you can put in place that just make your life so much easier. So,
for sure.
Yeah, that's where it's nice to have that extra little budgetary money to be able to spend on those kinds of things.
Yeah, because it will come up, and you're going to want things that are going to make your life easier. We're always thinking, what can we do to make this easier, quicker, and better? What tool can we do to do that, and everything else? So that's why we have our soil filling machine. We have a semi-automatic planting area now. You can do, I'm not a big believer in automatic watering, but you can do automatic watering down the road, when you get to that point, things that you can take care of with that money, and then you can rebuild it, right? That's there for that. So you can draw from it, but you want to rebuild it right away. You don't want to just, and then it's zero, and then something that major happens. So,
yeah.
And what Andy just said just a minute ago, make sure you pay yourself. I
Yeah,
don't
please
care
do.
in the beginning if it's $10 a month. It will change your mindset when you pay yourself something from the business, right? You're like, well, I'm not making any money from it. Just take $100 and go to dinner,
Yeah.
and then it's a business meeting. Write it off, but take $100 out, and go to dinner. Do something. Pay yourself something so you can see the reality that the business can pay you something. It is just a mind shift. That was a big shift. We didn't pay ourselves for like the first 3 months, and then we started taking money out. We're like, oh, we can actually make money at this, and that totally changed. And then all of a sudden, 6 months we're full time. That's how quick it can change for you. So pay yourself something. What do you?
Yeah.
I'm sure you think the same thing, Andy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's obviously you're not working for free.
Yeah.
You're not doing all this for nothing. That's the whole
Yeah.
point. I mean, does it have to be the amount of money that you made at your previous job? No, it's whatever you're happy with, whatever
Yeah.
you need to cover your expenses at your house, and you feel comfortable with. It doesn't have to be a massive thing if you don't want it to be.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people that can do it in their house if they have enough room to grow a good sized business and make great money without having to
Yeah.
ever go commercial, and run everything out of their house and be able to write off all those expenses and everything else. There's plenty of people that have gotten well into six figures still in their own home. I mean, there's tons of examples. Yeah, you guys did it. Robert Meredith did it. If I had the space in my house, I would have done it, but I don't. So I had no choice but to move into commercial space because my biggest room in my house is only 12 by 18. I don't have a big house. So,
Yeah.
it's like it was frustrating to have to move so fast. But I mean, even then we were at, I think, 7 racks, which, is not quite 6-figure money, but you can get probably 50, 60, 70,000 off of those 6 racks, depending on what you're selling.
Yeah.
So, it's not too bad, but yeah, it's definitely a big plus to take care of yourself for sure. Otherwise you're just burning money and wasting time.
Yeah. And when you start getting consistent business, you can just do like, again, not tax advice, but you can do owner's draw, distribution, whatever you call it. And you just set that up, take, 10% out, take $1,000 out, whatever it is, and just have that automatically hit your bank account. That also changes your mindset. You're like, oh, I got paid. Cool. It just came in automatically, because you don't forget about you said it. And then that way you're automatically getting yourself paid. It just changes your mindset, and it's going to motivate you more than what you believe it will, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Well, guys, if you want to go deeper into this, we obviously have a coaching program. It's on school. It's school.com/microgreens. It gets you the clarity. It makes you feel better, lighter. Gets you in there. It helps you figure out all of the stuff that you need to figure out. I'm glad I had mentors and coaches in the beginning. If I didn't, I would not be where I'm at. I got to talk to some of the bigger people in the industry within the first 6 months. It helped tremendously. That's why we're giving back now and doing that. We got our group right now at $9. It will be going up, but it is at $9 right now, where you can connect with us in that community at school.com/microgreens. We just dropped that price down because we felt like we just really needed to give back. It's not about making money. It's about giving back. But I want people to have some financial investment in their coaching and their teaching and everything like that. So right now you can get in that. It won't stay there forever. It will go back up $50, $60, $70, whatever it's going to be. So get in now while you can at that $9. And Andy, I know you have a coaching program as well.
Yeah. I mean, I know both of us do one-on-ones as well. So if you want to do a one-on-one coaching with us directly, you can do that. Freshsourcefarms.com. You can go under For Growers, and there's all kinds of links to talk to me directly or whatever. But we also have Urban Ag Academy, which is also on the school platform. So if you go to school and just look for Urban Ag Academy, or you can go to urbanagacademy.com. It's me, Josh Shaver, and Robert Meredith. We all run that group together. We do live Q&As every Monday. So tomorrow night we'll do another one. And it's phenomenal. I mean, it's such a great group of people, all very supportive. And I know your group is exactly the same way. It's a great way to get like direct contact with awesome people, if you have the budget, join both groups. There's going to be great information out of both ones. They're going to be different stuff. There's different perspectives. I mean, obviously, Mike and Jess are phenomenal when it comes to grocery stores. The three of us are not. We have some, but we're not like nowhere near what these guys are.
Yeah.
We're a lot more restaurants and distributors and things like that. So, but it just depends. I mean, that way you can kind of get that full learning circle of everything that you want to try and get out of everything. And it's always good to work with multiple people if you can. But I'm in the same boat. Like, I mean, if it wasn't for us talking to the coaches that we did, and I think it was January 2021, we were about 7 months in, and that's when we finally decided to pull the trigger on that. And my God, did it change our entire process.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. So definitely worth doing for sure.
For sure. Yeah. And I did forget to mention that for that $9 a month, when you first join, I am giving away a 30-minute coaching call, one-on-one, whatever you need to ask. Schedule's tight, so you may be like 3-4 weeks out before you can book, but you do get that as long as you're a member. You get that when you first join, so you can get that as well. So, because I want to help you get off to the right foot. So, along with weekly Q&As as well, like Andy does as well. So,
yep, yeah, that's awesome. Good stuff.
All right, yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for joining this episode. We will be getting into live Q&A. So if you guys got any questions, I don't see a whole bunch in there, but start answer your questions and get them in. We will be answering them all live. For anybody that's watching this replay, we appreciate you guys watching the replay, and we'll go deeper with everybody here in the Q&A, and we'll see you in the next one.